Johann Felsko. Johann Daniel Felsko, also Felskau, was a Baltic German architect, urban planner and the chief architect of Riga for 35 years in the period 1844–79. The most significant accomplishment of his creative work is the development of the centre of Riga. Early life. Johann Felsko was born 30 October 1813 in Riga, son of mason Johann Jakob Felskau 1779–1858, who 1805 emigrated from Königsberg, East Prussia, to settle in Riga. Johann's mother was Therese Uishedem and died 1868 from Schönberg in Courland. Johann Felsko married Georgine Wilhelmine Grues from Copenhagen, Denmark in 1842. They had 3 children, 2 of them being architect Carl Johan 1844–1918 and painter Oscar Eduard Daniel born 1848. Education. Johann Felsko learned the building profession by being an apprentice to architect of Riga and master of the craft Johann Daniel Gottfried until Gottfried died 1831. His education continued into the arts of technical drawing with Johann Adolf Spiza until 1832, which then led his travels as an apprentice via Königsberg, East Prussia, to work on fortifications with Captain Gerson in Warsaw, on whose recommendations he went to Copenhagen, Denmark, then later to Posen, and then back to Denmark in Hillerød. Felsko studied architecture at the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts from 1835–40. With a scholarship from the Riga City Council, his studies continued at the St. Petersburg Academy of Art, where in 1851 was awarded the degree of Free Artist. Creator of modern Riga. One of the first large projects by Felsko was the reconstruction of the Riga City Hall in 1848. He constructed a 3rd story on top of the almost 100-year-old monument to the Classicism style, while still preserving its harmonic scale and the overall historic character of the building. In 1849, Felsko renovated the neo-Gothic spire of St. John's Church, which remains in place to this day. In 1856, Tsar Alexander Roman II of Russia approved the demolition of the city fortifications, and Felsko, together with his colleague Otto Dietzy, began the development of a plan for the reconstruction of the city without delay. In the fall of that year, the work was done. In the following year, the Tsar approved this plan, and the same fall, the residents of Riga began digging up the old fortifications. The initial project underwent several alterations in order to decrease the cost significantly. However, Felsko's basic ideas were preserved and gradually were implemented in the construction of the semicircle of Riga's boulevards. The result is a superb urban ensemble with a canal formed from the moat of the fortifications becoming the central axis of the composition, which in turn borders with freestanding public buildings, green spaces and separate blocks of apartment buildings. In the 1870s, the citadel fortress was also torn down, and the esplanade territory of the fortress was redesigned following the guidelines advanced in the designs of Felsko and Dietzy. Favourite neo-Gothic style. This master is also the author of several schools: the Municipal Grammar School, which now houses the Riga State Gymnasium, one at the Rainer Boulevard 1874, another grammar school, now the Riga State Gymnasium, no. 281, Christiana Valdemara Street 1876–79, and the Craftsmen's Association School at 34, Spasages Boulevard 1876. He also designed the Sadovnikov home for the poor at 20, Sadovnikova Street 1873, various apartment buildings at 49, Lisbeth Street 1872, Antonisha Street 1879–71, Baviba Street 1879–11, Esachek Kunu Street 1854, and a few others. Felsko utilised a rather wide spectrum of the formal elements of eclecticism style in his buildings. Elements of the Renaissance and of the Rundboggen style can be found, however. His favourite was neo-Gothic. This style appears in completely different forms and tones from building to building. Felsko, in his reconstruction project for Riga Centre, envisioned the riverbank development of the Daugava in a neo-Gothic style as well. However, this particular dream of his remained unfulfilled. He applied the same vision to the municipal gas works at 1, Bastitcher Boulevard 1861, which, however, no longer possesses the imposing gas tanks that once stood there. Perhaps one of the most effective of Felsko buildings is the small guild at 3/5 Amatus Street 1864–66 in Riga Old Town. This building's architecture is in harmony with that of its slightly older neighbour, the large guild. Felsko arranged a small square in front of the very bulky medieval-like construction that already stood there. This feature was evaluated very positively by his contemporaries. The interior is very grand and ornate. Many of the windows are decorated with stained glass from Hanover. In the windows of the rooms now used by actors, the portraits of the author of the paintings, as well as that of Felsko, can be seen. Our array of churches were also fathered by the designer Felsko: Street Martin's Church 1851, Street Gertrude Old Church 1863–68, the Street Saviour's Anglican Church 1859, Holy Trinity Church in the suburb of Sokendegov 1876–78, the Street Anne 1857–59, and Street Nikolai Church 1873–74, both on the lands of the Pinky Mansion. All of them are neo-Gothic in style with colourful and eloquent architectural touches.